Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is, as always, to take the deepest stack of sources we can find, filter out all the noise, and just deliver you the synthesized need-to-know knowledge.
And today, our focus is on an artist who has spent 4 decades doing what seems impossible.
Right, navigating this career of a true international powerhouse.
Yeah.
Someone who is, at the same time, a guaranteed box office behemoth and a complete, uncompromising artistic risk-taker.
We are diving deep into the career of Nicole Kidman, actress, producer, and I think it's fair to say one of the most significant cultural figures of the last 40 years. Our sources track her path from, her very earliest Australian television roles right up to her recent and very calculated dominance in prestige TV and auteur cinema. This is less a biography.
Yeah, much like.
It's more a study in career strategy, in artistic persistence.
And think about this. She's consistently been one of the world's highest paid actresses since, the late 1990s? But that's not the whole story. Look at the sheer breadth of her accolades.
It's staggering.
We're talking an Academy Award, 6 Golden Globes, a BAFTA, and then decades into her career, she wins the prestigious Volpi Cup.
Right.
So our mission today is really to look past the familiar celebrity narrative.
Oh, absolutely. Past the relationships, past the magazine covers.
Exactly. Because we want to truly understand the calculated, deliberate path she has carved for herself as this versatile, influential, and, now industry-defining producer and actress.
And to really understand that path, we have to start at the beginning, as we always do, because it provides this perfect piece of foreshadowing.
Okay.
So Nicole Mary Kidman was born on June 20th, 1967 in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Which already surprises a lot of people. They assume she was born in Australia.
Right. And that location is immediately key. Because while the world knows her as Australian, her parents were in the U.S. temporarily on student visas when she was born.
And that's actually why she holds dual citizenship, Australian and U.S.
Yep. So she's embodying that duality right from day one.
And here's the fact that I think is just. It's the perfect poetic hook for her entire story. She was given a Hawaiian name, Hukalani.
Which means, quite literally, heavenly star.
Heavenly star.
And the origin of that celestial name is simultaneously so mundane and so magnificent. It was inspired by a baby elephant that was born around the same time at the Honolulu Zoo.
No way. That's incredible.
Isn't it? And that tension, the destiny implied by a name like Heavenly Star versus the sheer gritty work ethic of her later career, that seems to just perfectly encapsulate everything about her professional life.
It really does. And her foundational background is just as fascinating. Her mother, Janelle, she was a nursing instructor and a pioneering member of the women's electoral lobby in Australia.
A big deal.
Huge. And her father, Anthony Kidman, was a biochemist, a clinical psychologist, and an author. This wasn't a family defined by, Hollywood glitz. It was defined by intellect and social consciousness.
And our sources really emphasize that social engagement. While the family was living in Washington, D.C. for a while, they actively participated in anti-Vietnam War protests.
So she was exposed to this from a very young age.
Exactly. This early exposure to social justice, to advocacy, it undoubtedly contributes to her later off-screen commitments and, her frequent choice of roles that have a real philosophical or political edge. She didn't grow up in a vacuum. She grew up in a household that was deeply engaged with the world.
So you have a heavenly star, born into a family of academics and activists, already holding this dual identity. It just sets the stage perfectly for a performer who was never, ever going to be content just being a beautiful face on screen. Okay, let's unpack that journey. From Hawaii to Hollywood. The family moves back to Australia when she's 3. She grows up in Longville, a suburb of Sydney, attends local schools.
Right, Lane Cove Public School, North Sydney Girls High. And the art bug, as you said, it bit very early. She's in ballet at 3 years old and just shows this immediate natural flair for performance.
And her initial aspiration is just so charming. It wasn't about being the princess or the heroine.
No, not at all. According to the source material, her big inspiration was Margaret Hamilton's performance as the Wicked Witch of the West.
I love that.
It wasn't about being the ingenue. It was about embodying a transformative character, even if that character was, terrifying.
But then we hit this crucial psychological insight that I think provides the key to her entire career philosophy. She described herself as very shy, profoundly shy.
And she had a stutter as a child.
Yeah, which is such a common thread among great performers. This deep-seated inability to express yourself in your own life, which makes the freedom of putting on a character
Irresistible. utterly irresistible. Acting became her refuge. It was a safe space where she could literally shed the constraints of her own identity, of her speech impediment.
She trained really intensely, right? Phillip Street Theatre, Australian theatre for young people.
Mm-hmm. Drama, mime. The sources note her commitment was so absolute that because of her fair skin and red hair, she often had to rehearse indoors, away from the sun. It's almost this symbolic retreat into her art.
A retreat that she prioritized over everything else. She actually dropped out of high school to pursue acting full-time.
Which tells you everything. She was already so engrossed in the craft that school just felt like an obstruction.
But there was a temporary halt to this, right? And for a really deeply personal reason.
Yeah, in 1984, her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And Kidman just stopped everything. She took time off from her career to study massage therapy.
Specifically to help her mom.
Specifically. So she could provide assistance and physical therapy to her mother during her recovery.
Oh.
I mean, this is a pause that speaks volumes about her character, putting family commitment before career momentum. It just shows this inner strength is so far removed from the whole heavenly star image.
Absolutely. But the career did resume its climb pretty quickly. She debuted on film at just 16.
Yep. In the Australian holiday classic, Bush Christmas in 1983, and then BMX Bandits that same year. By the late 80s, she was a recognized talent in Australia. She won her first Australian Film Institute Award for the miniseries Vietnam.
But the real international launchpad, the one that got Hollywood's attention, came in 1989.
Dead Calm.
Dead Calm, such a great movie.
It wasn't a blockbuster. It was this tight, tense chamber piece that proved she could carry a movie. She's playing Ray Ingram, a wife menaced by a maniac on a yacht in the middle of nowhere. She had to rely purely on instinct and presence.
And this is where we see the first major critics taking note of her specific acting skills. Variety commented on her performance, pointing out she gave the character real tenacity and energy.
And Roger Ebert, he was watching her dynamic with Billy Zane, and he noted they do generate real, palpable hatred in their scenes together.
Tenacity is the key word there. It wasn't just about her beauty or her charm. It was about this emerging power.
And that performance in Dead Calm led directly to her official Hollywood entry, Days of Thunder in 1990.
Starring opposite Tom Cruise.
Right. It was one of the year's highest-grossing films. And this marked a huge shift from that contained, high-tension drama of Dead Calm to the, high-gloss, high-stakes world of American blockbusters.
It's so easy for people to just leap from Dead Calm to Days of Thunder, but let's pause on a detail that I think shows her commitment to her roots. In 1991, while all this Hollywood stuff is happening, she stars in an Australian independent film called Flirting.
And who was in it with her?
Her old drama classmate, Naomi Watts, and Thandie Newton.
That small detail is actually profound. It shows that even as she was achieving global celebrity, she was maintaining these ties to the independent, character-driven artistic scene where she, developed her craft.
And Flirting went on to win the Australian Film Institute Award for Best Film. It just validated her choice to balance the big budgets with these more meaningful artistic projects.
And the awards quickly followed her into Hollywood. Her performance in Billy Bathgate in 1991 got her first Golden Globe nomination.
Right, for Best Supporting Actress. And the New York Times was already recognizing her screen presence, calling her a beauty with, it seems, a sense of humor.
Then she and Cruise reteamed for Far and Away in '92, which was a more modest success.
So by the end of this first phase, she'd really achieved a remarkable transformation. She went from this shy, stuttering student in Sydney to an internationally recognized star who could lead major Hollywood productions and get critical attention.
Yeah. Her artistic foundation was set. It was all about versatility, tenacity, and this consistent drive to just assume new identities.
Okay, this next era is the true inflection point. This is where she makes an intentional pivot. A pivot from being seen as just a beautiful co-star, or worse, just being defined by her high-profile marriage, toward establishing herself as an actress who actively sought out challenging, auteur-driven projects.
She was demanding to be taken seriously as an artist.
Exactly. And she started the shift so strategically. She did the major franchise role in Batman Forever in '95, playing Dr. Chase Meridian.
You got to do that sometimes.
Right. But the real declaration of artistic intent came with her very next film that same year, Gus Van Sant's dark satire, To Die For.
What a role. Playing the murderous, utterly manipulative local newscaster, Suzanne Stone. She just completely shed any lingering associations with the damsel in distress.
And she won her first Golden Globes for it, for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. The critical praise was so laser-focused on her technical brilliance.
And the precision of that critique is worth looking at. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle praised her for bringing layers of meaning, intention, and impulse to the character.
He highlighted how the audience could see the calculation, the wheels turning, the transparent efforts to charm that succeed in charming all the same.
I mean, that's not just a good performance. That is a demonstration of a highly controlled instrument, revealing the character's internal mechanism. It showed she wasn't just relying on charisma, she was meticulously crafting psychological depth.
And that depth, of course, attracted the attention of the late, great Stanley Kubrick.
Right. She reunited with Cruise for his final, hugely secretive film, Eyes Wide Shut, in 1999.
A project that was a masterclass in challenging cinema, a complex adult exploration of sexual jealousy. It was notorious for the censorship controversies, the long, grueling production schedule.
It just signaled, emphatically, that she was prepared to dive into uncomfortable, demanding material for a cinematic master.
And then the significance of the year 2001 just cannot be overstated.
It was a massive year for her.
Following her highly publicized separation and divorce from Tom Cruise, she made this emphatic, definitive statement about her talent with two defining films released almost back-to-back. She established herself as this undeniable global force, totally independent of her relationship status.
The first was Baz Luhrmann's magnificent musical fever dream, Moulin Rouge.
Just a spectacle. She played Satine, the tragic courtesan, and that role required immense technical skill. It wasn't just high-octane drama. It was demanding vocal performance, intricate dance sequences.
And critics were just bowled over. Paul Clinton of CNN called it her best work since To Die For. The praise centered on her ability to inhabit that spectacle with real gravitas, moving with total confidence.
And what's fascinating is how she took a character that's often, an ice queen type, this beautiful guarded figure, and allowed her to thaw just a bit as she falls in love.
That performance got her her second Golden Globe and her very first Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. And the singing was a real success, too. Her duet with Ewan McGregor, Come What May, was certified gold in Australia.
But in the very same year, she demonstrated the exact opposite artistic toolkit.
In the psychological horror film, The Others?
Yes. Here she's a mother in the Channel Islands convinced her house is haunted. It's a totally internalized performance built on reserve and psychological tension. And it was a massive commercial hit, grossing over $210 million worldwide.
And A.O. Scott of the New York Times provided the definitive analysis here. He observed that the icy reserve that sometimes stands in the way of her expressive gifts here becomes the foundation of her most emotionally layered performance to date.
That is the key. What some critics mistook for distance, she weaponized into this powerful artistic tool, controlled, intense, and deeply expressive in its stillness.
And this incredible artistic outwing led directly to the pinnacle of this era, the Academy Award win for Best Actress for the Hours in 2002.
Her commitment to transformation for this role was just absolute. She portrayed the troubled literary icon Virginia Woolf.
And she used extensive prosthetics on her nose to completely alter her appearance. She became, as they said, almost unrecognizable.
That level of physical sacrifice immediately signals to the industry and the critics the seriousness of the artistic endeavor. The New York Times called it a performance of astounding bravery, capturing the savage inner war waged by a brilliant mind.
And she won the Oscar. She became the first Australian actor to win the Academy Award for Best Actress.
And the gravity of that moment extended beyond just Hollywood. Her acceptance speech was so memorable. She referenced the ongoing geopolitical turmoil, specifically the lead-up to the Iraq War.
And she stressed the importance of art in troubled times, declaring, "Why do you come to the Academy Awards when the world is in such turmoil? Because art is important."
That political consciousness, drawn right from her activist upbringing, just shone through at the absolute height of her professional glory.
It's a remarkable fusion. The transformed character actor suddenly speaking truth to power on the world's biggest stage.
And as a later footnote, while she's demonstrating this profound internal conflict on screen, she was simultaneously named the world's most beautiful person by People magazine in 2002. Talk about walking two parallel paths.
And following that peak, she just continued her career-long theme of risk-taking. In 2003, she collaborated with the notoriously difficult Danish auteur Lars von Trier
on the experimental film Dogville,
which was set on a bare soundstage with chalk outlines defining the environment. It was highly divisive, but undeniably challenging.
Her performance got huge praise, though. It just confirmed her willingness to abandon any traditional cinematic safety nets. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone called it the most emotionally bruising performance of her career.
And if you try to define that phrase, it means a performance so raw and exposed that it seems to cost the actor something real, something personal.
She concluded this phase starring in Anthony Minghella's Cold Mountain, which earned her a 6th Golden Globe nomination. By 2003, her reputation was just unassailable. She was the Oscar winner who would seek complexity and artistic challenge over comfort, ensuring her place in cinematic history. We now dig into the era where that name, Heavenly Star, takes on a whole new meaning. This is where she solidifies her commercial status, her sheer financial gravitational pull.
Right. And while she's doing that, she's simultaneously building the foundation for her future as an industry leader and a producer.
We have to first address the commercial ventures and, well, the controversies that followed. They showed the immense scrutiny she was under as a global icon. In 2004, the film Birth sparked this huge controversy.
Over a scene where she shared a bath with her then 10-year-old co-star, Cameron Bright, who's playing the reincarnation of her dead lover.
The media frenzy was intense, and it forced her to actively manage the narrative. She publicly addressed it at the Venice Film Festival, making this deliberate effort to shift the focus away from sensationalism and back toward the film's difficult central theme of love and loss.
It really showed her learning how to defend her artistic choices in the face of, tabloid criticism.
And not every commercial swing was a home run. The 2005 romantic comedy Bewitched with Will Ferrell.
That was a commercial failure in the U.S., though it did do better internationally.
Yeah, the domestic reception was so poor that she and Ferrell actually won the infamous Razzie Award for Worst Screen Couple. It's a good reminder that even for stars of her magnitude, not every project connects.
But even the failures couldn't dent her financial pull. This is the era of the famous Chanel No. 5 campaign.
Directed, of course, by her frequent collaborator, Baz Luhrmann, she starred in that extravagant 3-minute advert, No 5, the film.
And this single endorsement is one of the most remarkable financial data points in her whole career. She reportedly earned a staggering $12 million for that 3-minute advert.
$12 million?
At the time, this set a record for the most money paid per minute to an actor. Think about that. $4 million per minute.
That's just, that figure demonstrates the sheer quantifiable global market value of her image, her ability to transcend film and become a worldwide brand identity.
And her market value was reflected across the board. In 2005, she was ranked 45th on Forbes' Celebrity 100 list, and her reported per-film price tag was somewhere between $16 and $17 million.
Second only to Julia Roberts at the time. This wasn't just stardom, this was serious box office power.
And she continued to leverage that power in big-budget films. She lent her voice to the animated hit Happy Feet in 2006, which grossed over $384 million worldwide.
Her highest-grossing film at that point.
Exactly. And then the fantasy adventure The Golden Compass in 2007, which grossed over $370 million. These blockbusters provided the financial cushion that was necessary for her to keep taking all those artistic risks we talked about.
She closed out the decade by reuniting with Baz Luhrmann for the epic Australian film Australia in 2008 with Hugh Jackman.
Despite mixed critical reviews, the appeal of that pairing and the sheer scale of the production made it a box office success, grossing over $211 million worldwide. She was consistently bankable.
But the most crucial development in this entire decade was the quiet, deliberate shift toward controlling the material herself.
Yes. In 2010, she officially founded her production company, Blossom Films. This move marks the moment she shifted fully from simply choosing roles to actively generating, shaping, and producing the story she wanted to tell.
And Blossom Films' first major project provided immediate validation, Rabbit Hole in 2010.
She produced and starred in this adaptation of a Pulitzer Prize-winning play. She's playing a mother grappling with the sudden death of her son. The film got widespread critical acclaim.
And she earned her 3rd Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. This proved her move into production was not a vanity project. It was driven by a sophisticated artistic engine.
Her commitment to the theater also resurfaced during this time. In 2015, she returned to the West End in London for Photograph 51.
Playing the British scientist Rosalind Franklin, whose crucial work led to the discovery of the structure of DNA.
Her return to the stage was a major cultural event. She won an Evening Standard Theater Award and just demonstrated her ability to command any artistic medium.
This era really culminates with a role that deeply resonated with her personal life. Lion in 2016, she portrayed Sue Brierley, an adoptive mother, a role she felt a profound personal connection to as an adoptive parent herself.
And this deeply human, raw performance earned her a fourth Oscar nomination, this time for Best Supporting Actress.
And Lane was just the perfect encapsulation of her mid-career strategy. It was a serious, human-scale drama made on a modest $12 million budget.
Yet it became a global hit, grossing over $140 million worldwide. Richard Roeper's praise summed it up. He said she gave a powerful and moving performance, conveying a mother who loves her son with every molecule of her being.
This film proved she could blend artistic gravity, personal connection, and financial success all into one project.
Okay, so the strategic move into prestige television starting in 2017 was arguably the most significant professional pivot of her entire career.
I agree. It fundamentally reshaped the landscape for A-list film stars. It wasn't just an acting job. It was a power move that cemented her status as an industry tastemaker.
Absolutely. The TV expansion began with Big Little Lies from 2017 to 2019 on HBO. And she didn't just star as Celeste Wright, the former lawyer concealing an abusive relationship.
She was an executive producer, alongside Reese Witherspoon through her company Blossom Films.
Exactly. This meant she wasn't just hired talent. She was shaping the entire project, controlling the tone and the production.
And the response was explosive. She got overwhelming acclaim, winning the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress and sharing the Emmy for Outstanding Limited Series as a producer.
Critics were unanimous. Matthew Jacobs called it a career-defining performance. Anne Hornaday declared she belonged in the pantheon of great actresses.
And the show itself had this massive cultural impact. The second season finale became HBO's most-watched night for an original series that year. It confirmed that the move to television could command a high-quality, large-scale audience that film often struggled to gather.
This was the moment film stars realized television was the new frontier for profound artistic work.
Crucially, during this period, she was simultaneously demonstrating her continuous preference for working with high-profile, challenging auteurs.
Right. In 2017 alone, she worked with Sofia Coppola on The Beguiled and Yorgos Lanthimos on the deeply unsettling The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
It's such a clear pattern with her. When she secures a hit in one area, like TV, she immediately uses that capital to take a risk in another, like art house cinema.
And that transformation philosophy never wavered. In 2018's Destroyer, she played a detective ravaged by a past case, requiring her to undergo this significant physical transformation.
That left critics describing her as unrecognizable, this relentless pursuit of method acting, of disappearing into an entirely new skin. It just continues decades into her career.
And here's the spectacular dichotomy of her current career, the ultimate proof of her versatility. In the very same year she was physically transforming for an indie project like Destroyer, she played Queen Atlanta in the DC superhero film Aquaman.
And Aquaman became her highest-grossing film to date. It earned over $1.1 billion worldwide.
She successfully maintained her foothold in the massive mass-market franchise ecosystem while continuing her high-art pursuits. She even reprised the role in the 2023 sequel. She occupies two completely different universes at the same time.
And the television success was not a fluke. The Undoing arrived in 2020. Once again, she starred and executive produced, playing the successful New York therapist whose life unravels.
And the show didn't just match the success of Big Little Lies. It broke new ground. The Undoing became HBO's first original series to continuously increase its viewership week by week.
And it ultimately surpassed Big Little Lies to become HBO's most-watched show of 2020. This just confirmed that she, through Blossom Films, was an expert at curating, producing, and starring in prestige television hits.
She followed that exact formula with 9 Perfect Strangers in 2021, based on another Liane Moriarty novel, again starring and executive producing, and the show set records for the most-watched Hulu original premiere day.
The production pipeline she established through Blossom Films became this, content factory for high-quality, female-led drama.
Then came the high-stakes risk of being the Ricardos in 2021, where she portrayed the iconic Lucille Ball, and there was intense public skepticism about her casting.
Oh yeah, people were very loud about it. Could this Australian ice queen embody the beloved comedic genius?
And despite all that initial doubt, her performance earned critical acclaim. It secured her 4th Academy Award nomination for Best Actress and another Golden Globe win. Peter Travers, summarizing the turn, called her all stops out fabulous as Lucille Ball.
She just once again proved that her commitment to transformation trumps any preconceived notions.
She kept collaborating with ambitious auteurs, working with Robert Eggers on The Northman in 2022. And bringing us almost to the present, in 2024, she starred in the A24 erotic thriller Babygirl.
Where critics praised her for being ferociously good.
And that role in Babygirl earned her the Volpi Cup for Best Actress at the Venice International Film Festival. I mean, think about that longevity. Nearly 40 years into her career, she is still earning top festival honors for the most challenging high-risk roles.
And this consistent success has resulted in immense financial and industry influence. Forbes ranked her as the highest-paid actress in the world in 2024, with an annual income of $31 million. She is the definition of sustained star power.
And we cannot discuss her contemporary cultural footprint without pausing to truly analyze the viral phenomenon of the AMC commercial.
We make movies better.
Yes. This seemingly simple advert, where she stands in a shimmering suit delivering a monologue about the magic of cinema, it became a cultural touchstone.
But why? I think because it tapped into a collective desire to return to the communal experience of movies, during and after the pandemic. She became the elegant, undeniable defender of the cinematic experience itself.
AMC's CEO Adam Aron described the ad as iconic and revered, and CNN reported it has inspired memes, homages, and debate. It's the ultimate demonstration of her power. She transformed a corporate advertisement into a piece of revered, driving cultural content.
She combines commercial appeal with genuine cultural impact, transcending mere advertising to become a symbol of the very medium she inhabits.
Okay, let's unpack the core philosophy that underpins all of these career decisions. She's consistently regarded as one of the finest and bravest performers of her generation, noted specifically for her radical versatility and her willingness to seek eccentric, non-traditional roles.
And her own words provide the clearest explanation of her method, and it ties directly back to her childhood shyness. She says, "I'm a character actor. I believe in changing the way you look, the way you move, the way you speak. I'm not great at playing myself."
So what really gives me the greatest satisfaction is changing into something else. That desire for complete transformation is the root of her method acting. She physically, mentally, and emotionally immerses herself.
Sometimes to the point where our source material notes it has adversely affected her health because of the intensity of roles like the detective in Destroyer or the troubled mother in Rabbit Hole.
The need to escape herself through character is paramount, and academic analysis gives us the language to describe this unique method. Scholar Sharon Marie Carnegie described her choices as believable and natural, but also notes her work is profoundly kinetic.
Meaning the performance involves high energy and deliberate, stylized physical movement, not just, internal contemplation.
And other scholars elaborated on the highly technical nature of her craft. Pam Cook suggested that her emphasis on artifice and technique points towards cinematic expression.
Meaning the performance is less about simply being the character and more about strategically assembling the performance for the camera.
Exactly. And Mary Luckhurst expanded on this, noting her strategic pursuit of high-risk mutability and versatility.
Mutability meaning changeability, versatility meaning range.
Right. This strategic pursuit of radical change, often speaking of losing herself in the role, is precisely what has kept her career so vibrant. She consciously avoids the bankable, easy characterization.
And this willingness to take big swings, to regularly traverse between naturalist stage work and non-naturalist cinematic art, is why she earns such high praise, landing 5th on the New York Times' list of the greatest actors of the 21st century in 2020.
And this philosophy led to her formal honoring in 2024, when she received the AFI Life Achievement Award, the first Australian actor ever to receive that honor.
But here's where it gets really interesting in terms of industry leadership. Her explicit advocacy for gender parity.
Using her producing power as leverage. In 2017, after Big Little Lies, she made a public pledge to collaborate with a female director every 18 months to actively address the gender disparities in the film industry.
That was a pivotal, publicly stated commitment. And she hasn't just met it, she has smashed it. As of February 2025, she has worked with an astonishing 19 female directors in either an acting or producing capacity over 8 years.
I mean, that is tangible systemic change driven by one person's power.
And the impact is felt so deeply by her collaborators. Helena Rain, the director of Babygirl, praised her commitment, saying that Kidman practices what she preaches when it comes to feminism and empowering women.
This isn't just passive support. It's active, hands-on production leadership.
Lulu Wang, another filmmaker she supported, noted that Kidman created this entire network and world of filmmakers, women, people of color who've never had the opportunity to be in this space. She is actively creating a pipeline of talent where one just didn't exist for marginalized voices before.
And Jamie Lee Curtis summed up the practical effect of this strategy perfectly. She said, "People work when Nicole works. I'm working because Nicole is working."
She uses her immense star power, her financial pull, as a genuine force multiplier to generate opportunities for other artists, especially women.
However, we have to acknowledge a critical counterpoint that has emerged during her reign in prestige TV.
Right. Some critics argue that her consistent return to the icy rich mom type in television, think of Big Little Lies, The Undoing, Expats, The Perfect Couple, that it risks repetitive portrayals.
And this is a legitimate tension. If her artistic philosophy is defined by high-risk mutability, does consistently occupying the same type of affluent, emotionally fractured woman in television dilute the impact of her transformations?
It highlights the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
The trade-off between maximizing commercial, bankable success in the streaming space and maintaining the legacy of radical artistic risk-taking she built in cinema. It's a tension she navigates project by project.
Beyond the screen, her off-screen commitments are vast and tied directly to the social awareness instilled in her by her parents. She's been a Goodwill ambassador for UNICEF since 1994 and UN Women since 2006.
And her focus areas are deeply personal and political. Violence against women, where she even testified before the U.S. House of Representatives. And breast cancer research, motivated by her mother's diagnosis way back in 1984.
These are long-standing commitments, not recent celebrity causes, which again reflects her foundational background in activism.
And let's not overlook her status as a genuine fashion icon. That chartreuse Dior gown she wore to the 1997 Oscars.
Designed by John Galliano, it's globally regarded as one of the greatest dresses in red carpet history.
It's credited with completely changing the landscape of red carpet fashion, transforming it from a state event into a runway for high art. And she was honored with the CFDA Fashion Icon Award in 2003.
Finally, just a brief snapshot of the challenges and resilience in her personal life. Her high-profile marriage to Tom Cruise from 1990 to 2001 ended in what she described as a major shock.
And she later reflected very maturely on the failure, noting she was a child, really, when I got married, and that she needed the separation to grow up.
The sources surrounding this separation are difficult. There were controversial claims made by former Church of Scientology executives alleging they were instructed to facilitate the breakup and that her phone was allegedly wiretapped.
And we have to report this impartially as part of the public narrative, acknowledging the immense scrutiny and difficulties she faced in that moment.
She navigated that period of upheaval. She was briefly engaged to musician Lenny Kravitz in 2003. And then she found stability when she met Australian-American country singer Keith Urban in 2005. They married in 2006.
And Urban has publicly credited her with helping him overcome his struggles with alcohol addiction, emphasizing the powerful supportive foundation she provided. They had 2 children, one born via gestational surrogacy.
Our sources note that after nearly 2 decades together, they separated and filed for divorce in September 2025, citing irreconcilable differences. This signals the closure of another major personal chapter, which she navigates with her career still in high gear.
We can't end this section without mentioning her surprising musical success. I mean, Moulin Rouge showcased her talent, but her duet with Robbie Williams, something stupid.
That became a genuine chart hit, the top charts in the UK, New Zealand, and Portugal. This unexpected dimension, coupled with her more recent collaboration on a cover of Say Something with Luke Evans, it just reinforces the idea that she is an artist who refuses to be confined to a single box. #outro.
This has been an incredibly comprehensive look at a career defined by tenacity and relentless change. We've covered everything from her shy origins and the symbolic power of her Hawaiian name, Hukulani, Heavenly Star.
Right, to her ability to command both box office billions with a movie like Aquaman and immense artistic praise with films like The Hours and Babygirl.
Her career path is not one of random events or just, passive acceptance of roles. It is one of calculated, intentional choices.
She consistently pursued artistic risk, she embraced radical transformation in her performances, and most importantly, she deliberately moved into production to control the narrative and support female filmmakers. She has successfully defied the typical Hollywood narrative, especially for women in her age bracket.
So what does this all mean for us, the audience? I think the synthesis of her 4 decades suggests a model of professional resilience through radical creative restlessness. She refused to be confined to the safe, bankable persona that Hollywood often demands.
Instead, she chose the discomfort of the character actor.
And the provocative final thought we want to leave you with centers on that foundational tension she embodies, the tension between the artist and the star. We have an actress who consciously describes her artistic goal as changing into something else, a cipher, someone who loses herself in the role, deliberately not playing Nicole Kidman.
And yet, by pursuing that goal with such commitment, she has managed to become one of the most recognizable, bankable, and influential global icons of the 21st century. The transcendent face of Chanel, the symbolic defender of the AMC theater experience.
So what can the enduring tension between that artistic ideal, the desire to be the transformative cipher, and her massive, undeniable commercial presence, the heavenly star, what can that tell us about the complex nature of modern stardom and the cost of artistic freedom?
It is a question that defines her powerful and multifaceted legacy, and one that is still being written. Food for thought indeed.
Join us next time for another deep dive.